We're celebrating our seniors this morning, and a lot of them are probably finding themselves in a place of wondering what's next in their lives. And back in March of 2002, this would have been the day that our current seniors, around the time that our current seniors were finishing their kindergarten years and getting ready to embark on this idea called real elementary school, or whatever, that first grade. So 12 years have passed, but I remember in March of 2002, I found myself leaving my first real full-time job in ministry, and I had no idea what I was going to do next. It was the first time that I had been unemployed and without any real clear idea of what I was going to do since I had had a paper route when I was in 5th and 6th grade. And I have to say, I was scared. I had no idea how I was going to pay my rent, how I was going to pay my bills, or as my student loan payments were coming due, how I was going to make those payments. I was living in St. Paul, Minneapolis area, the Twin Cities. I had no family nearby, and because I had worked at a church and left that church, I really didn't feel like I had a place that I could call a church home or a church family. And for the next 2 months, before I figured out what was next, I picked up a job waiting tables, and I almost took my uncle up on a job offer to learn how to drive his semi-truck and haul grain for him on the farm and keep his truck running during the summer. And I just didn't know what to do. I think I called home almost every day during those 2 months to talk to my parents, partly because I was afraid I didn't know what was going on, partly because I just needed their assurance in my life. And at first, I can say I was pretty hopeful. I thought, it'll be okay. I'll find a job really, really quick. And then as time went on and I was not finding what I was looking for, and I wasn't sure what was going to happen, that future got really scary for me. If you've ever been looking for a job, you know that it's a lot easier to get a job when you have a job than it is to find a job when you don't have a job. And I was afraid nothing would come up. I was afraid that maybe I didn't have what other people were looking for, or that I couldn't be what I was going to need to be. And ultimately, I think for the first time in my life, or one of the first times in my life, I was truly fearful of what was next. The future was uncertain, and it was scary for me. Have you ever felt that way? Have you ever had the experience that whatever it is that you've known is not what you are about to enter into? And whatever it is that you are about to enter into is not something you've ever done before, and it's not something that you have ever experienced before. I guess what I'm asking is, have you ever been afraid of the future? Afraid of what's next? See, the future, it can be a pretty scary place because nothing in the future is for certain. Nothing about the future has already happened that we've experienced, and the future is unknown in so many of our lives, and that unknown is generally one of the greatest sources of our fear. Most of us, at some time or another, have entered into a season of life where whatever was coming next was unknown to us, and we felt some level of fear. In the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 3, Solomon writes, "For everything there is a season, a time for every activity under heaven." And in the verses that follow, he lists 28 different seasons of life: birth, death, love, hate, times to embrace and to separate, to laugh and cry, to gather together and to scatter. Life has seasons. And a lot of us are probably getting ready to go into some sort of next season in our life. You're entering maybe into a new chapter where you think or you know that things will be different, and you're not quite sure, though, how they will be different. We all go through change. We all have to face the future, and we all enter into these times of change and uncertainty. And if that's a time that you're getting ready to face, I can probably guess that there are people who have been there and they know what that's like. For some of you, we're nearing the end of the school year, getting ready to head into summer, and lots of change is getting ready to come or already beginning to take place as your family adjusts to kids not being in school. And so for a lot of people, that's just a simple, but it's only 3 months. Others are getting ready to face entirely new seasons. Maybe your baby boy or girl is getting ready to graduate, and you're about to become empty nesters, either as they go to college or as they enter into the real world after college. You're wondering what you might do with your extra time now that you won't be attending forensic competitions, band concerts, football games, and all the other things that are associated with your children being in school. In the midst of it all, you're hoping and you're praying for your son or daughter as they make a transition to living without your loving and guiding hands. Maybe we call that hovering. And you're not sure if they'll be able to survive without your home cooking or that daily interaction that you have with them, reminding them to do their homework, to study, to wake up and go to class, or to go to bed at night. And the future for a couple of empty nesters can be very scary. Maybe you're in the middle of a job or a career change and you've made a tough decision to leave behind something that you've done for the last 5, 10, 15, 25 years. You're venturing out to try something new, and in doing so, you know that where you've been is not where you are supposed to be anymore, but you're still not quite sure of how this new thing is going to play out, or this new job, and there can be some scariness there. There can be some fears associated with that because you know you can't go back, but you're not sure of what's going to happen next. Maybe you have younger kids, and next year is their first year that they're going to be in kindergarten. And it's the first time that you're going to have kids out of the house all day long. And you wish you could just go along with them and hold them and make sure that their day at school is going to go well. Maybe you're one of those students that's getting ready to head into middle school, and all of a sudden you're not going to be the oldest kid in the school no more, and you're not going to have recess every day at school either. And you're just not sure if you can make it through a whole day of school without at least a little bit of playground time. And boy, do those 8th graders look scary. Or maybe you're getting ready to go into high school and you're not sure you're ready to walk the hall with 2,800 other students who are maybe going to become your best friends, but really it means that now, if you're going to high school, that means college is somewhere off in the future, and you have to start thinking about ACTs someday and tests and getting ready and figuring out who you're going to be. Maybe you're getting married, or you just got married, and you're excited about what's to come, but there's some fear because you now have to share a house and a bed and a television remote. And that's really scary too. Or maybe you've got a baby on the way, and you know your life is going to change. You're excited about it, but you know that the moment that that baby is born, that somebody else is going to depend entirely on you for their survival. You wonder how you survived college and how you're going to be, now you're being expected to keep another child alive and help them thrive. And that can lead to fear of what's next. Transitions can be scary. Change can cause us to feel fear for those things that are next, and it can be hard to jump into something when you don't know what to expect or when you don't have it all figured out. It can be even more difficult when fear gets in the way. A few minutes ago, Benjamin read to us from John chapter 14, and overall, this conversation that Jesus is having with his disciples, it actually covers about 4 chapters, 13 through 16 in the book of John. And in it, Jesus tells his disciples a few things. He's preparing them for what's next. He tells them that change is coming and that they're going to enter into a time of transition. He says, I am going to be leaving you. And so he tells them, don't let your hearts be troubled. Trust in God and trust also in me, for there is more than enough room in my Father's home. And if this were not so, would I have told you that I am going to prepare a place for you? When everything is ready, he says, I will come and get you so that you will always be with me where I am. And you know the way to where I am going. Now there's 12 men that are around this table. Judas had already left to betray Jesus. And Jesus makes this announcement to the other 11 that he's leaving them. And he tries to let them know that he'll be back and everything's going to be okay. Now, I don't know about you, but we've been experiencing this thing around our house lately, and I think it's this fear that Caleb has, that lately there's these moments that when Kim or I are getting ready to leave the house, okay, I'll be truthful, when Kim is getting ready to leave the house, he gets afraid. And sometimes it happens when she's getting ready to leave in the morning, and just the other day he got out of bed and he followed her and he tried to chase her out into the driveway as she was pulling out. But sometimes it happens just when she's going to make a quick run to the grocery store. And in any case, when Caleb realizes that mom is leaving, he gets this fear and he starts to ask questions. He says, "Where are you going? When are you coming back? Can I come with you?" And for some reason, this look of fear that his mommy is leaving, that he's afraid of life without her, that he doesn't quite know what to think or expect. And every time she makes a move for the door, he holds on to her just a little bit tighter to keep her from leaving. I kind of imagine that for some of you getting ready to go off to college or getting ready to send your kids off to college, I imagine that for the disciples too, that this might be what they were feeling, what they were going through. They've just been told that the person they've been following for the past 3 years is leaving them. Jesus has been their friend, he's been their mentor, their teacher. They believe that he is the Messiah, and now they're being told that their life is going to be turned upside down. As Max Lucado puts it in his book, they've just been, in his book Fearless, that the disciples, they've just been handed this big cup of transition. And they're trying to pass it right back to him. Their reaction was certainly not one of excitement or joy. It was of fear. Thomas is the one that speaks up and he says, "No, we don't know, Lord. We have no idea where you are going. So how, if we don't know where you are going, how can we know the way?" Essentially, he's saying, "Hey, thanks for the heads up, but no thanks. I'm not ready for this. I'm not ready to do this on my own, and everything seems really kind of scary without you in the picture." The disciples are afraid. And fear can seem natural. Their questions might be some of the same questions that you've had. What am I going to do without you? Who am I if I'm not going to be, and then fill in the blank, if I'm not going to be that anymore? What happens if this doesn't work out the way that I hope it will or the way that you're telling me? You see, when your life changes, when you enter into a new season, when your world gets turned upside down, it can be easy to be afraid. It can be easy to let fear overwhelm you. And in reality, though, our fears, when we think about it, are not of things that have happened to us. Our fear is not even of what will actually happen. Our fear is a fear of what might or what could possibly happen. In the movie After Earth, a masterpiece of American cinematography, the character played by Will Smith is trying to help his son face his fears. And what he says to his son is this. He says, "Fear is not real." The only place that fear can exist is in our thoughts of the future. Fear is a product of our imagination. It causes us to be afraid of things that do not at present and may not ever exist. And so to combat their fear, Jesus offers up some hope and some assurance to his disciples. First, he reminds them that they need to have some faith and to trust in him. And he gives them some assurance that even though he may not have spelled out for them the way to where he is going, that they do in fact know what he is talking about. And so he tells them, "I am the way, I am the truth, and I am the life. And no one can come to the Father except through me. If you had really known me, you would know who my Father is. And so from now on, you do know him, and you have seen him." He reminds them that he is the one that they have trusted, and he will continue to be the one that they can trust. He's basically saying, "You know me. I am telling you the truth. The future isn't as scary as you think it is, and your fear does not have to hold you back." And then he tells them something else. Maybe something we need to all hear. You are not alone. One of the hardest things about change and transition, about what's facing next in our life is the fear that we'll be doing it alone. I said earlier, when I left my job in Minnesota, I probably called home almost every day for almost 2 months. And I was alone. I felt alone there. I didn't know anybody else outside of the people that I had worked with for the past 7 months. And when you leave home for the first time, when you're changing careers and everybody else around you seems to be going on with their lives or going off in different directions, it is easy to feel alone. Like you're the only one that's dealing with what you're dealing with. It can be easy for that to be the fear that drives you. But Jesus reminds his disciples multiple times throughout these chapters that they are not alone, that they never were and they never will be. He tells them a few verses later that even though you won't see me, he says, I'm not leaving you out to dry. He says, I will ask the Father, and he will give you another advocate, one who will never leave you. He is the Holy Spirit, who leads into all the truth. The world cannot receive him because it isn't looking for him and it doesn't recognize him, but you know him because he lives with you now and later will be in you. No, I will not abandon you as orphans. That word advocate means friend, counselor, helper, intercessor, strengthener, the one who comes alongside us. And Lucado writes, he says, the Holy Spirit is designated to come alongside you. He is the presence of Jesus with and in the followers of Jesus. Can you see how the disciples might have needed this encouragement? Do you maybe also need that encouragement? Do you need to be reminded that you are not alone? That there is somebody who is walking alongside you, leading you, pushing you, and comforting you. This morning we have a few of our seniors that are joining us in worship today, and I want to invite them to come up. They're getting ready to take some big steps in their lives. They are students who we have walked beside, who have been a part of the Water's Edge for the past 7 years or 8 years, and they're getting ready to graduate. They're getting ready to go off to college this fall, and so I want to have them come up. I want to introduce them or have them introduce themselves and tell you a little bit about who they are, where they're graduating from, and what their plans are for this fall. So I'm going to hand you the microphone, and can you tell us your name? And you guys don't need to sit so far back. I know there's no chalkboard to lean against in those speeches, so I'm going to move this out of the way and have you guys all come a little bit closer. It's okay, keep coming. There we go, right there, right on the line. Oh, you're too far. No. Can you introduce yourselves and where'd you graduate? Where you already graduated? Where are you graduating from, and where are you going this fall? What are you going to do?
Okay, I'm Katie. I graduated from Papillion La Vista High School, and in the fall I'm going to Mizzou. I don't know what I'm majoring in yet.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Morgan, and I'm graduating from Millard West next weekend, and I'm going to Rockhurst University, and I plan on double majoring in nonprofit business in Spanish.
Hi, I'm Sam. I'm also graduating from Millard West this next weekend, and I'm going to UNL next year, and I'm also undecided in my studies.
Another one of our students, Daniel Ritter, was not able to join us this morning because he's actually at his graduation. He is graduating from Creighton Prep this morning, and he'll be attending UNO this fall. He's been, as parents wanted to let us know, he's been accepted to the Peter Kiewit Institute at UNO, and they're pretty excited about that. Now, over the past couple of weeks, I've had a couple of conversations with some of these students, emails and phone calls, and I wanted to invite them up here for you to get a glimpse of who we are celebrating this morning, but I also want to hear them share about their hopes and even some of their fears for the future. So can you guys just think for just a second, what is the most exciting thing for you about graduating from high school and getting ready to head off to college this fall?
Well, I'm definitely most excited about just getting to experience new things. I've gotten used to the day in, day out of high school, and I'm ready to go out, meet a lot of new people, have new classes, learn new things, and just experience a whole new life, I guess.
I think I'm most excited to be independent and meet lots of people. I'm going somewhere where I don't really know anyone, and so that's like exciting and nerve-wracking, but I'm looking forward to it.
I'm also looking forward to the independence. I'm going to a giant school, and I'm going to have a lot of opportunities to meet a lot of different people. I'm really excited for that.
So, you're thinking about where you're going to college and you're leaving home and you're excited, but are you guys afraid at all too? What's something that scares you? What's a fear that you have as you get ready to go off and on your own?
One of my fears is that my parents aren't going to be there to tell me what to do all the time and make sure I go to sleep at a reasonable time. Tell me to do my homework, make me food, things like that.
I'm kind of just scared to start over completely, and I don't know, I've had most of the same friends since I was in kindergarten, so I'm scared to like go through the whole new process of meeting people and just creating a new home for myself somewhere else.
My biggest fear is I said I was going undecided, and it's weird because people like sometimes say, you know, it's not the rest of your life, but I kind of feel it is, and like there's already talk about signing up for your classes next year, and I have no idea what I want to do. You know, I want to go out there and see what I want to do, but it's fearful not having chosen yet.
Well, I want to ask you guys, these guys have worked hard. They've put in a lot of work. If you guys would take a minute, give them a round of applause. We have some parting gifts. Not parting, they're not leaving yet, but we have some encouraging gifts for you as you get ready to go off to college. Each of you, we're giving you a small pocket Bible so you can carry that around with you on campus as you head. I'm making sure I'm giving Sam the blue one and not the pink one. There's a devotional in there, and there's also a book called Next that gives just some ideas about as you're getting ready to face what's next in your life, what are some ways that you can help prepare yourselves for that. And I want to let you know, you guys get to hang up here for a minute, and I'm going to just talk to you for a second here. I want to let you know, and I got to read this because I want to make sure I get it right and that I don't get emotional because I've been around you guys for the last 7 years, and I kind of like you. So I'm excited for you. You have all finished and completed a big accomplishment in reaching graduation, and I know that you all have great futures ahead of you. I have heard from some of you about your dreams and your hopes for the future. We've talked about some of those things, and you've asked questions as you've been getting ready for college. And if there's anything that I could tell you right now, it would be kind of a recap of what I was trying to let everybody here know. And so basically, I'm going to give you the Cliff Notes version because you'll learn that in college. I want you to know that things are going to change for you this year. It might be the next few months are going to probably be the time in your life where you experience more change and more challenges to who you are and what you believe and even to your faith than you have ever had in your entire life. I want you to know that through all of that, you can trust in God. Part of life is dealing with change, and it's a good and it's a necessary part of life. It's part of God's strategy that as you grow and as you mature in your life and in your faith, that the roles and responsibilities that you have in life will change. Both 1 Corinthians 13, remember that one, and Ephesians 4, you can look those up later, they remind us that we grow and we mature. And as we do so, that God allows us to see and experience and take part in His plan for our lives to greater degrees, and that we begin to see and understand and trust Him more as we do that. As you learn to trust God more and as you lean on that trust in Him, I want you to know that God will continue to help you see His plan for your lives or your lives unfold. And I want you to know that you are not alone. You are not alone in your dreams for yourself. You have parents and grandparents who have been dreaming right alongside you since the day that you were born. And there are people in this church that have heard your dreams and that have shared in those dreams and are participating in those as well. You are not alone as you pack up your cars and head off to college without your parents. You are not alone because you can look across this room and you can see a number of people who have been and will continue to be praying for you, that will be continuing to support you and keep up with you. Some of these people have been here for your whole lives, and others have just been here as you've gotten to know them here at the water's edge. I want you to know that we're coming with you. That don't mean that literally. We're not going to sit in your dorm room and we're not going to walk you to class, but we are coming with you. We will be praying for you. We will continue to be here for you. You are not alone. God goes right alongside with you. He is there to talk to guide you, to comfort you, and to stand by you through everything you encounter. And if you guys didn't hear what I just said to them, let me say it to you also. I want you to know these promises are not just for our graduating high school students. They are for every single person in this room. God is with you. You can trust in Him that He will continue to guide you and lead you and walk beside you. You see, after all, life is preparation for eternity with God. And Jesus promises us that He goes ahead of us to prepare a place for us. So as we walk through life, if we do so in the hope of Jesus Christ, if we do so understanding that God's love is there with us, and if we allow the presence of the Holy Spirit to guide us, then our trust will always be greater than the fear of anything that we can ever face.